Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Venture Day 2021. My name is Jochen Schweitzer. I'm the Director of Entrepreneurship here at the UTS Business School, and I welcome you all to the UTS Business School Venture Day, the UTS Venture Day 2021. We already had, I think Julian was mentioning it in the live stream, we already had a first round of 16 pitches, and they were just amazing. We just announced the 10 finalists who are now all in this room together with the previous ones and some audience. Can I just hear the audience just one more time? I really need you guys to make as much noise as you can today. So thank you all for coming. Thank you for being here. I would like to use this opportunity to introduce Professor Glenn Wightwick, who will be opening the event for us officially. So Glenn, if you are on the call, we'll see if we can get you onto the Zoom now and on the screen here. And I'll pass it over to you.
Thank you, Jochen, very much. And firstly, I'd like to welcome everybody. Unfortunately, I'm not able to be at the Venture Day kickoff in person, and I've been able to participate in the last couple of years, and I just thoroughly enjoy it. Unfortunately, I've had some other meetings this afternoon and not possible to be there. It's an absolute honour and pleasure to welcome you all to the UTS Venture Day for 2021. I'd like to welcome those that are able to participate on campus, and of course for those joining us online. And clearly kind of working in this hybrid mode is what we've gotten used to over the last 12 months. Before to begin the proceedings, and on behalf of all those present, I'd also like to acknowledge the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, upon whose ancestral lands UTS's city campus now stands, and also the Camaragal people of the Eora Nation, where I'm currently located. I'd also like to pay my respects to elders both past and present, acknowledging them as traditional custodians of knowledge for this land. I'd also like to thank the Commonwealth Bank of Australia, Telstra Enterprise, the Kazakos Foundation, AIQuell Technologies, Raymond Choi, Gilbert and Tobin, and the UTS Business School, all for their incredible generosity in providing awards and prizes for this event. Events like this don't work unless you have mentors and sponsors, and so having organisations of that calibre working with us and supporting us and donating money to support prizes is absolutely fantastic. So thank you to them. As many of you know, our MBA in Entrepreneurship is one of our flagship entrepreneurship programs at UTS. It's unique within Australia's higher education landscape, and with this program we really are focused on helping our students get the best possible start on their innovation journey, from initial concepts and ideas right through to that, how do we get it into commercialization. So today is Venture Day. This marks the end of the degree program for many MBAE students. This is the 5th MBAE cohort to graduate, and we're very keen to see them all do very, very well. Throughout the last year or two, students have taken a rigorous and intensive curriculum studying all aspects of business innovation and entrepreneurship. And as part of that program, students have had access to many supporters, including an entrepreneur in residence, mentors and teaching staff. Over the last year, UTS students have also shown tremendous dedication and grit by continuing their studies and progressing their startup projects, despite the unfortunate situation we've all found ourselves in due to the ongoing health crisis. There are also the many resources and extracurricular programs like our UTS Startups program that this university has to offer, and not to forget the friends and family, people that are working behind the scenes, your friends and your family, who support you, inspire you, probably critique you, and help you get through your studies and bring these wonderful ideas out into the world. We hope a lot of them are able to join today, and I'd like to thank them for their contribution and support. UTS is incredibly proud to be part of the entrepreneurial community. We see our role as enabling students in developing the necessary knowledge and skills. We see our role as helping students meet the right people and develop their entrepreneurial project. And we see our role as change agents in realising Australia's innovation and entrepreneurship potential. I'd also like to acknowledge the Business School's Director of Entrepreneurship, Associate Professor Jochen Schweitzer. Jochen is just an absolute wonderful leader, as you all know. All the teaching staff, the entrepreneur in residence, the various mentors, administrators, and finally, of course, our MBAE students for all their incredible hard work in making this program a success. I'm really looking forward to welcoming the next cohort and seeing how all the ideas that have been developed by our students today make their way out into the world. So thank you very much for the time this afternoon. Again, I'd love to have been there. Apologies that I'm not, but I'll now hand back to Jochen.
Thank you. Thanks very much, Glenn, for that message to everyone. So really, it is just amazing to see what talent has been coming through UTS over the last couple of years. And in this role that I'm very lucky to have, we're at the heart of it. So I think we're really doing an amazing job and giving these entrepreneurs support that they need. And what you will see today, what you will witness today, is how lucky we are to have you to choose UTS to make this journey and do this journey with us. So it's a few housekeeping items maybe. So if you're on Twitter, is anyone still on Twitter actually? If you're on Twitter, please use our hashtags at UTS Business and UTS Startups to share whatever you feel about the pitches today. And I think I would definitely use this opportunity now to introduce and also thank our fantastic group of judges. We have 10 of them, so this is 20 eyes on these startup entrepreneurs. We have David Langford, Ali Linz, Andrew Agnostolis, John Lee, Louise Anderson, Natalie Mann, Walter Kazi, Paul O'Donoghue, and Kyung Chow and Dr. Lionel King. So a huge round of applause for our judges today who are giving their time. They already have given a lot of time because they got us to this point, which is fantastic. So I'm really, really glad to have you here and to watch the final 10 again. And I remember many of you saying in the previous years that the second round is so valuable because you get to see these pitches again and you start asking different questions than you did in the first round and you're really getting to the bottom of it. So good on you and enjoy this. I know you're already exhausted, but we're going to get you through the last 10 and then we're going to be finishing with this round of 10 probably around 6 o'clock, 5:50, 6 o'clock. Then judges will deliberate. In the meantime, as Julian I think already announced, we will have some panel discussion in the online stream, and then around 6:30 we will come back here into this space and announce the winners with an award ceremony. So without further ado, I would like to there's one more thing. We have a few awards to give away today, and I also want to quickly introduce those. So our headlining award is the Combank and Telstra Best Venture Prize, which is a $10,000 in cash award, which is just amazing. I think that's a round of applause that we can have right here and right then. We then have, again, the Kazakos Foundation providing 2 prizes this year, the Prize in Entrepreneurship for Social Venture and the Prize in Entrepreneurship for Early Stage Venture. So a big round of applause for that one too. Each of those are at $5,000 in cash and $5,000 in kind. We have the AI Qual Technologies Prize for Innovation at $5,000. We have the UTS Business School, who's been very, very generous again this year, with 3 awards, each $5,000 in cash for a social justice venture, a technology adaptation venture, and a female entrepreneur, which I'm incredibly happy about to see coming into our awards portfolio. And the Alan Betts Memorial Prize with $1,500, and the Gilbert and Tobin Prize for IP and Legal Advice valued at $5,000 in kind. So big round of applause for our donors. What we'll see now is the 10 pitches in tight order, 8 minutes for every presenter, 5 minutes roughly presentation, 3 minutes Q&A, the same format that we ran in the earlier session today. And the timer will be going. And once you get into overtime or going close to overtime, the next speaker will come on. So enjoy the show, ladies and gentlemen, and really very, very glad to see everyone here and to see what today will bring. So, John, it's your stage.
Thanks, Jochen. So, g'day. I'm John Gunning, and I'm the founder of gatorCRM, which is the missing CRM for LinkedIn. Now, as you all probably know, LinkedIn is the largest social networking platform in the world for business people. There's over 706 million people on the platform and a demographic which is highly educated and highly paid. And that's why we believe that LinkedIn is just a great platform for lead generation and why gatorCRM loves LinkedIn. So, who's the customer? Well, it's enterprise salespeople, but unlike the photo, they're not hitting the the phone and cold calling anymore, but instead they're direct messaging and they're socially networking on platforms like LinkedIn in order to generate leads. And in fact, over 70% of enterprise social outreach is now performed on social, with over 80% of B2B leads coming in from LinkedIn. And we think that's just an incredible opportunity. So, what problem are we trying to solve? Well, keeping track of social is really hard for those doing lead generation on that platform. It's hard to quickly answer what conversation is where, and who was the last person that I spoke with, and what did we speak about, and what's my next best action. The existing solutions are really poor. You can use LinkedIn itself and its inbox, which is not a CRM, or you could use an enterprise CRM if you have one, but then you're having a completely disconnected experience from where you're doing your lead generation. You've got your enterprise CRM over here, and LinkedIn is sitting over here. So, what's the solution? Well, gatorCRM sits directly within LinkedIn. It's right where you are as you're prospecting. You've got the ability to log activities, to take notes, and to schedule calls. And your productivity is just boosted because you're already in that platform where you're prospecting. And as you can see, I can see the complete sales conversation history from right where I am. From a management team point of view, I have around 20 years experience in software development, most recently about 4 years as head of product for a global software company. My technical partner is Richard Bailey, and Richard runs a software development outsourcing provider. We actually go back a long way, all the way back to school. Richard has his own company and he's currently operating that from the Czech Republic. So we have a huge amount of experience in bringing these types of solutions to market. And speaking of the market, it's large and untapped. 706 million. Of that, we think that we have a service addressable of around 25 million salespeople or people in sales-related roles. And then that lands us at around 500,000 customers. Now, at a $30 a month selling price, that is 180 million in ARR, and just an incredible opportunity. The business model is software as a service. It's per user per month, really straightforward and easy to understand. It's free to paid. If you have less than 500 contacts, then it's free. Over, and it's $30 a month. We've had great product traction. In fact, we're really excited that our beta is launching next month, and we've had a huge amount of interest around that. But importantly, we've talked to a whole lot of people about the problem of social lead generation, and we think that we have a great solution in gatorCRM to that problem. Zooming in on one of those particular interviewees, Aaron is an enterprise marketing professional from Seattle. Now, he uses Salesforce and he's in the software business. And one of his pet peeves is when his sales guys are doing this early prospecting, they're not actually recording anything within Salesforce. So when it comes time for Aaron to do a targeted marketing campaign, he doesn't have the data that he needs to be able to do it correctly because it's just not recorded. So for Aaron, gatorCRM really fills that social gap in his Salesforce automation lifecycle. The competition is LinkedIn itself. They have a product called Sales Navigator, which is really more of a people search than a CRM. And then on the other side, we have those full-fledged enterprise CRMs like Microsoft Dynamics, as well as Salesforce. Fantastic products, but really poor social integration. You have that two-system problem that Aaron alluded to, and things just simply get lost. And then what we think hits the sweet spot is gatorCRM, a fully fledged CRM system with deep, in-context social capabilities. Much more productive and modern solution. For milestones for the company, I've mentioned the beta. In April, we're planning on a seed raise, and that's all heading towards our general availability in the middle of the year. Later in the year, we're planning on making some more hires and really building out that product roadmap. And this is all before an audacious goal of over 10,000 users on the platform in Q1 in 22. And that's gatorCRM. There's two things that you can do for us. If you have interest in the product, please jump on the website. We'd love to have you on board. And alternatively, if you're in sales or have relationships with sales organisations who might have a need for gatorCRM, then please reach out to us. We'd love to hear about how we can help you. Thanks very much. Questions, please.
It's a two-part question, but first
Sure.
question is, what's stopping LinkedIn from doing this?
It's a really good question, actually. LinkedIn has a Sales Navigator product and a Recruiter product. They could potentially do this, but they have demonstrated, I think that they actually have this kind of a wall that they have where I don't think that they'll be able to fully interrogate the opportunity and then keep the people who have their profiles and companies in line. So I really think it's a third-party opportunity. But yes, that is a risk to the model. They could decide to do something, but in that case, we'd hopefully be acquired by them or be well ahead in terms of the product development roadmap.
Which leads me to my second question. Obviously, in tech, things are rife with disruption all the time. What happens if something happens to LinkedIn?
That's a good question. It's our idea to really build out beyond just LinkedIn to support other social platforms as they come along. The most obvious one is Facebook, although it's primarily a social non-business network. It also skews pretty heavily to some business activities. So that would be our second. But what we're doing technically will enable us to drop into really any of those platforms and have context.
John, just wanted to clarify, are you integrating with LinkedIn or you are?
Correct.
How are you doing that? Are you
we're sitting as a sidebar next to LinkedIn, and basically we're picking up the context of what's going on within LinkedIn, and that's how we're able to, as you're browsing, to serve up the right contact or the right company, etc.
Right. Okay, so you're scraping that conversation, are you?
No, not scraping. We're sitting as a sidebar, and we're accessing the context of LinkedIn.
Right.
So as a CRM, can you set up workflows so that you can aggregate the intel you're getting and then send out an automatic flow of future marketing messaging?
Sorry, marketing messaging where?
So that you can continue in that sales development outreach.
Yes, as far as go-to-market, we can definitely reach through, and obviously the LinkedIn platform is a primary platform that we would use to do that, absolutely.
So you can reach out to 100,000 people at once who have reached a certain milestone or a trigger to get to the next. Great.
Yes. Great. Thanks very much, guys.
Good afternoon. My name is Loucineh and I'm the founder of Zart, the ultimate destination for demi-fine and statement jewellery for the rest of us. I have always loved jewellery ever since I was young. I've always loved jewellery ever since I was young. I think it's an amazing expression of your style and your personality. Unfortunately, I've always had a problem of finding jewellery that actually fits. In fact, when I was 21, my dad actually gifted me his personal ring so that I had something special to wear and so that I wouldn't feel so left out. Recently, there was a movement on social media trying to get more representation for chubby fingers. They were trying to have more representation in marketing, but also urge brands to increase their size options. Despite this, the multi-billion-dollar jewellery industry continues to ignore and underserve a huge part of the population. And this is especially true within the demi-fine category. And by demi-fine, what I'm talking about is not your cheaper costume jewellery, and it's not the Cartiers of the world with ultra-fine luxury jewellery. It's that sweet spot in between. It's where demi-fine jewellery enables people to have high-quality jewellery, things that are made from sterling silver or up to 14-karat gold and semi-precious gems, but at a much more reasonable and affordable price point. It's the fastest growing category at 16% and is estimated to be worth $50 billion. But alas, as you can imagine, it's still not size inclusive. And as somebody who was forced to wear men's jewelry for most of my life, I can tell you men don't have a lot of options either. It's kind of slim pickings. And that's why I started Zart, because I believe that neither your size nor your gender should hold you back from rocking gorgeous, high-quality jewelry. So in 2020, we went live. I launched as an MVP to test the messaging and the designs, and I launched a global direct-to-consumer online brand that provides handmade, beautiful jewelry that's priced between $40 and $200 currently, and we offer the widest range of sizes in ready-to-wear jewelry, in particular rings. Although I kept the marketing spend minimal at first in this testing phase, one of my key go-to-market strategies was to engage with the key influencers. And they're really loving and embracing this brand. This is just a snapshot of a few of them, and I will point out Kendra Dandy in the middle. She's a prominent African-American artist. She rarely, and I mean rarely ever, promotes any brands, but she shared the photo of her ring on her artwork because she has been screaming and sharing her frustration of never finding jewelry that fits, and one of her followers actually recommended Zart. I would not have been able to achieve this had I not been such an authentic brand with a very clear vision and mission. And this is what really helps Zart to stand out amongst this competitive space. It is the authenticity, but also the size range. Now, when it comes to ring sizing alone, most brands only offer 3 sizes between a 6 and an 8. Zart offers between 5 and 13, so significantly more options. And so the results are great so far. We're having some great traction. We're in the top 15% of Shopify's stores that were launched the same week, and this is just based off of web traffic alone. I've sold over 200 pieces of jewelry across 4 markets, the US and Australia being my biggest, followed by Canada and the UK. Average sale price is $112, and I'm currently maintaining an average of 50% profit across the board, and I plan on increasing or maintaining this. Currently, my customer breakdown includes about 40% who come for the size ranges, and this is on both sides of the spectrum, people who can't find smaller sizes as well as larger ones. 40% are loving the designs, they're fashion forward, and also the 20% who are looking for gender neutral options. So while my customers are loving it, I went out and spoke to a few of them. And in fact, I focused a lot on my repeat customers. And I asked where we could improve or what they would love to see. And something that kept coming up was, oh, if I'd been able to see the pieces up close and try them, I would have bought more. Which got me thinking, this is actually a problem that's quite common with a lot of direct-to-consumer brands. And while my competitor Majuri is addressing this by building brick-and-mortar stores, I want to introduce style boxes, which essentially allow customers to try on the jewelry, keep what they love, send back what they don't want. And this is a tried and tested model. It's worked with brands like Stitch Fix in apparel and also Warby Parker when it comes to glasses. And I think just considering the fact with the cost of shipping for the small items like jewelry, it'll be quite an effective solution. And I would love to launch this in collaboration with an influencer, someone like Flex Mammy. When she shared Zart on her stories, we saw a huge influx of sales and also engagement, which was great. And so far, our growth is great, and there is a really exciting future if we continue bootstrapping. I mean, we had a great month in November, reaching 10,000 in revenue. And so in the next few years, we see that steadily increasing. However, at this pivotal point is that I would love to see an investment of approximately $1 million for seed funding to really help accelerate the growth. We could turn that 10,000 into 100,000 and reach some pretty big milestones in a few years. Considering the fact that my biggest market currently with minimal effort is the US, and the US is the 3rd biggest jewelry market in the world, it's kind of exciting. It's hard not to get too excited. With that $1 million, I would invest it firstly into building some of the team. So far, I've been bootstrapping this and have worked with some great experts in these areas on an ad hoc basis, but I'd love to have dedicated teams looking after particularly the digital integration, e-commerce, and then also market insights and our media buying. And then, of course, the rest of the funding would be used to help with product delivery and enhancements, and then also advertising and continuing with some great collaborations. So for today, my ask is, if I was to walk away with some of the prize money, I would use that to expedite the style boxes. And also I'm asking for some introductions to potential investors. And I just wanted to leave you with a photo of my dad, who now gets to wear one of my designs. Thank you. No questions?
I'll lead off. The idea of the style boxes is an interesting growth path. What are the financial implications of using those boxes in terms of working capital, in terms of impact on margin? Have you thought that through?
A little bit. I mean, I would love to just initially just start in a pilot market like Australia, just to see how that goes. And the idea would be that there would be obviously revenue upfront that would be needed, but we would see. I mean, I've done some projections in terms of like when to break even. It might take a little while, but I do think that just based off of the repeat customers, what I've noticed is that they're buying more as they go. And so the cost value of each customer is increasing, which means I need less customers to achieve. So that's the strategy behind it.
Just interested to know your thoughts on why you think all these long-established competitors haven't really identified the fact that, chubby fingers, I think, as you call it, is something they just ignore or they don't do it properly. What's the feedback you're getting?
I mean, it's the exact same in the apparel industry. I mean, the average woman in Australia is sized between a 14 and a 16. Not one Australian designer makes above a 16. So if you think of the average woman, so think about that missing market. And it's a constant battle as to, I mean, it does add to complexity if you're offering more sizes, but if you don't have minimum quantities and you can work with your manufacturers, I mean, honestly, I don't know why. I think it just adds to the complexity, but it's a question in apparel, and they continue to do this.
So is it?
I'm sorry.
Hi everyone, I'm David Chambers and I'm the founder of Ergosphere.ai, and I'm presenting our first product, GamePlan, a manufacturing planning system powered by artificial intelligence. Most people I speak to expect manufacturing companies to be like highly optimized machines, and for the most part, they're wrong. Planning in manufacturing is really hard. Firms spend a lot of time building comprehensive production plans, but problems inevitably occur. Materials don't arrive on time, machinery breaks down, staff fall ill, the list goes on. Issues like these require complex changes to plans that most companies simply can't produce in a timely manner, resulting in ad hoc, inefficient, and unreliable production. Companies like SAP, Oracle, and Microsoft have tried to build systems that help, but their systems designed for really huge enterprises just don't work for SMEs. We interviewed many local manufacturers, and they described them as intimidating, expensive, and importantly, they just can't handle unexpected events. And this problem is huge. So according to IBIS World, there's over 85,000 manufacturers in Australia and more than 6.5 million worldwide. Of this, 80% are SMEs, each facing these kinds of problems on a daily basis, creating a massive and underserved market. That's why we've built GamePlan, an intuitive and graphical planning system. This is how it works. First, you build a digital twin of your facility, identifying all of your work and storage areas. Next, you populate your production catalogue. Most users will be using systems like MyOb or Xero, so GamePlan connects your digital twin to your existing data source. Next, you set up your product recipes, their bill of materials, and your task dependencies. With this all set up, you can enter planning mode. When you're connected to an external data source, you'll see your jobs automatically arrive. GamePlan identifies which tasks are available for assignment. When you've selected a task and where it will be complete, instructions are sent to the factory floor via a mobile app, where workers can update job statuses in real time. The app also finds out when errors occur. So here, Workbay 2 has encountered a problem and is offline. This poses a challenge. How do you reprioritise your work with limited capacity? This is where Plan Assist can help. Here, an AI planning agent presents you with an ordered list of tasks based on the planning policy it has learned. As the agent collects more real-time data, so too the policy improves. We can demonstrate just how powerful these agents are through autonomous mode. The policy that you're going to see performed here was learned through the equivalent of 4 years of experience, which we simulated in just 5 hours. Also, the jobs that it's handling are being generated randomly, so the agent's never seen them before and yet maintains high efficiency. So GamePlan's an easy-to-use application that automates production planning in real time, which we're commercializing via the SaaS model. Our simulation construction tools are available for free to encourage new users, and our mobile app is priced at $10 per week, with planning agents at $90 per week, pricing us about 60% below our nearest competitor. On the cost side, agents can take up to 24 hours to learn an effective real-world policy, costing $180, and our hosting fees come in at $20 per week per user. This results in an annual gross profit per user of just under $4,000, creating a local opportunity of $440 million and a global opportunity of more than $33 billion. So what have we achieved so far? We have our first paying customer who's participating in our alpha testing right now. We also picked up Most Innovative Prototype and the People's Choice Award at the UTS Tech Accelerator 2020. And we've been awarded the New South Wales MVP grant. Looking forward, we'll be implementing our beta phase with our 6 local manufacturers in July. And we'll be increasing our focus on direct sales, aiming for 20 subscribers by the end of 2021, creating an annual recurring revenue of $104,000 and a net loss of $49,800. In the following year, we'll be implementing features for our agents to communicate directly and autonomously with customers and suppliers, which we'll be using as a marketing funnel. We'll also be expanding our sales team in pursuit of 150 paid subscribers, resulting in an ARR of $780,000 and an EBITDA of $165,500. In 2023, we plan to raise a seed round and grow our team significantly as we chase 1,000 paying users with an ARR of $5.2 million and an EBITDA of $1.16 million. This is the team that's working hard to bring this to life. You've already met me. I have more than 10 years of experience in manufacturing, from sales and marketing through to digital transformation. I hold an MBA, and I'm currently studying a PhD, taking these planning agents and distributing them into a large cloud manufacturing network. Monica is our design director. She has more than 7 years of experience in architecture. She has experience in 3D modeling and graphic design. Nathan's our CTO. He has more than 8 years of experience in software development and has led teams on projects that have amassed more than 50 million downloads. And in the next week or two, we're finalising recruitment of a data scientist who's a fellow PhD student in deep learning, and he has more than 4 years of experience in data science at some ASX 100 companies. So to finish off, we really feel like we have the talent and the resources to bring this product to market. And so from you guys, what we're asking for is your support. We're sure that many of you in this room and all you guys watching at home know someone in this market, in this industry, facing these problems daily, and we would love to meet them. So connect with us at ergosphere.ai. Questions, guys?
Just wanted to ask how much customization is required for each implementation?
So what we're doing is we're building out our library of digital assets first and foremost. And so our first pilot users will be creating custom equipment for them. As that expands, it becomes more generic, and it'll be just like playing a video game. So just click and place when it comes to setting up your factory. In terms of your production flows, it's entirely customizable. So however you do business, we can accommodate. Yes?
How do you quantify the savings or benefits for a business? I mean, presumably you're really presenting a more efficient way of doing things. They'd probably say to you, well, look, it's fine, my notebook works, and the factory manager wouldn't be able to do this anyway. So how do you demonstrate the benefit, and what sort of real-life experiences have you sort of encountered?
So we're taking a data-driven approach in that we don't want to estimate kind of efficiency gains because every organisation is different. What I can tell you is that our pilot firm, they're saving about 11 hours a week of planning, which is a massive return on investment for $100 a week. And they're seeing something in the double-digit efficiency gains in terms of productivity. And so we would just like to expand the trial program and get some more hard data.
It seems that the focus is on efficiency, both in terms of operating and, I suppose, application of capital as well. What's the possibility in terms of using your software in innovation processes? So, inventing new products.
So I would say that I'm inclined to talk about my PhD here because what these agents are really, really good at is managing highly dynamic environments. And so what it does is it actually fosters collaboration. We've got this interesting problem in Australia where firms don't collaborate because they don't find anybody else to be particularly reliable. And so with a good planning agent, especially in a networked situation, we can start pulling resources from different organizations that we didn't know existed. We can be leveraging additional capacity. And so it does create opportunities to foster these new designs, new innovation. But as far as managing something for the first time, it's going to be as good as the information you give it. And so building experience is critical for this type of machine learning.
So you'll tell me it's not, but it seems like a fairly complex bit of software, and you'll be working in a variety of different bespoke environments each time. So how well resourced will you be for problem solving and debugging as you find there are some oinks in your system?
So we feel very well resourced, to be frank. As far as the environments themselves, they are incredibly simplistic. They look really great, but the back-end stuff is really quite straightforward. It's mostly about representing everything that you have visually. And so if we can do that well, the intuitive experience grows. We don't anticipate running into too many curveballs as far as production is concerned. Obviously, we can deal with things like conveyor belts and actual items moving around a factory. That's just content that we want to add. And so once we have clients that are using those kinds of systems, we will add them. Thank you.
Over 1 billion students are falling behind because of COVID. Why? Because teachers don't have the resources to adapt. Hi, my name's Cody Adam, and I'm the co-founder of Snack. We're a mobile-first app that enables teachers to create bite-sized educational videos. I'd like you to meet Susan. She's been a teacher for over 25 years, but she's also my mum. And never has she had to adapt faster than when COVID hit. I watched her spend hours searching for online videos that had the right content, presented at the right level, but were the right length to keep her class engaged. Now, in speaking to my mum, as well as many other teachers, it became clear that these passionate people knew exactly what content their classes needed to learn and how it should be presented. But they didn't have an efficient and up-to-date way to do so. Snack solves this problem. We leverage mobile-first, intuitive content creation tools to make it easier and faster for teachers to create video. Right now, teachers have two options. They can skim through online libraries, searching to see if there's enough content presented at the right level. But with this method, teachers tell us that they often have to settle for something that just gets the point across. The other method is to use the current segmented video production tools to film, edit, and distribute video. That takes hours, and it's time that teachers just don't have. This is a real problem right now. We know this because in the past 30 days, we've had over 100 teachers sign up to use our beta when we launch. That means that in the coming months, Snack will be in the classroom of over 3,000 students. Snack is interactive video. Teachers break their explanations down into 60-second recordings called bites. And in just a few taps, teachers fill these bites with creative assets like quotes, graphs, text, and scribbles. And they use their voice and finger to guide students through each bite. Students then get a beautiful playback experience as their teacher walks them through lessons step by step. But the real magic of Snack is in the conversation. Students reply to their teacher's bites with their own bites, copying its contents and adding their own voice. They can use this to ask questions, riff on their teacher's ideas, or start discussions themselves. Our business model is aligned with our values of democratizing access for education for everyone. That means that teachers can use our core product for free with unlimited public storage, but for unlimited private storage, a more advanced content creation tool set and more organizational tools, they can pay for a $10 subscription. Now, just to clarify, teachers are already paying out of their pocket for their own resources. We've spoken to teachers that spend between $1 and $5 every lesson on platforms like Teachers Pay Teachers for stuff like workbooks and infographics and that sort of thing. So $10 from the people we've interviewed is actually very, very reasonable. We have 3 revenue targets. In the first 3 months, we're confident that we can bootstrap to over 1,000 teachers and reach $1 million in run rate by mid-2022. This is only taking into consideration a $10 subscription fee with 10% conversion and not turning on any other revenue streams with data or more developed product offerings. This is where we're starting, in Australian schools. And within 12 months, we want to be global, operating in the US and UK. But this is just the start for us. Our product uses 98% less data than our competitors because we use vector-based animation. This means that we can grow into the emerging economies like Indonesia, India, and Africa. We actually already have signed a school in Indonesia. This means that our products can be in the hands of the other 2/3 of the world's school population who still have limited access to internet because they're in a 2G network. We want to be everywhere that people learn. Picture this tool being used in HR onboarding, in the boardroom, in commercial communications. We really like this use case as well. I believe we're the team to do this. I felt this problem. Before I worked in finance, I worked in a school as a design assistant, plus I've seen my mum have this problem. This is Jake. We went to the same school together, but right now he's in San Francisco working as an engineer at WhatsApp. Prior to that, he was at Facebook, and he scaled an edtech app to over 10,000 monthly active users. We want to build a library of content that teachers can share around the world. We believe that teachers in Australia can share snacks with teachers in the US, UK, all around the world. $15,000 of prize money will help us establish these word-of-mouth channels and build a scalable customer acquisition strategy that we can boost later in the year. We learn through conversation, by asking questions and by making mistakes. We want to emulate this online for everybody. Thank you.
In terms of the bits that you'll be sharing, will there be a moderator or someone checking the content from your side to make sure that it's all appropriate?
Yeah, sure. So we do speech to text on every single one of them. Because they're voice recordings, it's really high quality pieces of data. So we can moderate that from a back end, but we also, like Kahoot and like platforms that are already successful, they use kind of user moderated kind of, you can report content and that sort of thing. But there are models where they don't do any back-end stuff. We have that back-end element because of the transcription service that we can provide. I hope that provides some clarity around the moderation of it.
In terms of the sweet spot of the length of the snack, what is it? I mean, how snacky is a snack?
So people have come up to us before and said, we're the TikTok for teachers. This, we've shown our product to teachers, and they basically say, they get really excited because this is how people are connecting with their students the best in a non-education context. But teachers don't want to send their students to TikTok and to all these other platforms because they just get distracted. It's obvious. But we're going to replicate that method of communication in an educational context. And that not only is exciting for students, it's exciting for teachers as well.
So just as a corollary to that, from a student's perspective, how long is a snack session going to be?
Yeah, so snacks are broken down into bytes. Bytes are limited to 60 seconds. So there's no limit on, you can do 1 byte or you can do 5 bytes. But it's going to be sort of between 1 minute and 5 minute or 10 minute video, depending on what the teacher likes.
You spoke about content. So snack, is that just the median and the channel? So using an example, if the teacher wants to teach geography, right?
Yep.
It seems like very clearly it gives them the means to teach concepts of geography.
Yep.
You don't actually address the context of geography, right? So you don't give key themes or calculus. You don't have the syllabus within it, right? It's just the means.
I'm not sure I quite understand. We're providing templates.
Okay.
So that's part of those assets that you can buy with a subscription. That template might look like how to best explain a geography concept, or it might be how to to best, from pedagogy, from educational studies, how you can best describe something. You introduce a topic, you give some examples, you get a student to apply that. You know, there are theoretical ways that we can template this and give it to a teacher wrapped up in a beautiful little simple package.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi, my name's Robb. I'm the CEO of VR Realms and the father of a 9-year-old gamer. Can I quickly just get a show of hands? Who in the audience has primary school age children in their family? Yep, so a few of you. You probably know they all play online games. How many of you worry about the online games they play? Well, I worry about that too, and that's why I want to talk to you about Neo 2045, the digital playground for kids with peace of mind for parents and small technical issues. So we're a team of video game veterans. My co-founder and I are both Disney alumni. Between us, we've got over 25 years of games industry experience. I spent 5 of those years at the Walt Disney Company running the online games division across Asia Pacific, which also included this game, Club Penguin. It was a massively multiplayer online game for kids, otherwise known as an MMO. The massive part comes from the fact that there's hundreds or thousands of users playing together simultaneously in one game instance. This simple game, at its peak, captured the attention of over 300 million kids worldwide. Fast forward to today, and you might recognise some of the names vying for the attention of under 13s. These games are all great. However, they all have fundamental shortfalls against our product. Minecraft has a multiplayer limit of 30 users. Fortnite has a T for teen rating because of the level of in-game violence. And Roblox is facing increasing moderation difficulties around their content because of the over 500 independent third-party developers on the platform. The common problem with all of these products is that they weren't specifically built for kids like Club Penguin. This is Neo. It's our future-themed MMO for kids. It takes the best bits of Minecraft, Roblox and Fortnite and combines them with new innovation into one giant metaverse. We're really thrilled about what we've built and we know the kids are going to love it. After escaping our nemesis Lasertron, our players find themselves on the planet Neo. Here they must explore and defend their new homeworld, but there's always time for fun and adventure. Neo gives kids the play patterns they love through social, creative and competitive play. It also gives them portability, which means that all of their progress and their items go through the world with them as well as across devices. Parents benefit from having their kids in a moderated environment where they can set parental controls specifically for each child and set spending limits to prevent any unfortunate accidents, like the time my child racked up a $50 bill on Crossy Road. So we're using a tried and tested business model, Velvet Rope business model. It's used by the likes of Penguin, Fortnite and Roblox. Neo is free to play. So kids can enhance their experience with in-game content, and that can be purchased through sachet currency purchases or a monthly subscription, which makes spending predictable and easy for parents. The video game industry is huge, and right now it's currently larger than the North American sports and the global box office combined. Mobile and online games in particular are seeing huge growth, driven largely by current leaps in technology, connectivity, and reduced device costs. We've got a global audience, and we estimate our TAM at over 500 million kids in industrialised nations aged 7 to 13. Those of you with kids in that demographic know they're probably increasingly difficult to reach through traditional channels. YouTube, however, continues to buck this trend. We're working with content creators on the platform to spread the word of Neo and bring kids onto Neo. Word of mouth is important for us as well, and that's whether it's in the schoolyard or homeschooling. We've built a tool that incentivises players to invite their friends and family to Neo. We're entering open beta in March and launching onto tablet and PC in April, and we'll continue the rollout across the rest of our platforms through the rest of 2021. Last year, we bootstrapped our way to bring the product to alpha. We began phase 1 this year by closing a $1 million pre-seed round. Phase 2, we expect to reach break even and we'll raise again to further test and optimise our funnels. In phase 3, we expect to have reached product market fit and we'll raise once more in order to really put our foot on the gas and hopefully kickstart that hockey stick. So the team are working furiously towards launch right now, and personally I'd love to take home an award today, but importantly, if any of you have kids in our demographic, we would love it if you could head to the website and sign them up for the beta test of Neo 2045, the digital playground for kids with peace of mind for parents.
I'll lead off with the first question. In terms of ethics, where are the boundaries as to what's appropriate for children? And I ask within, the sort of context of, paid subscriptions and then say loot boxes.
Yep. So we don't do any loot boxes because we clearly don't want to do anything that's related to gambling. But also we have made the game so that there's no actual, for kids, there's no progressive benefit from having the items. So all of the items are aesthetics and don't actually impact your progression in game. So it's not a pay-to-play product, is a good way to describe it.
Rob, how did you come up with the revenue model? $70 a month is pretty high.
No, it's not per month. That's the lifetime value of a subscriber. So it's actually $8 Australian a month.
Right, okay. Okay, that's good then.
Yeah, we're expecting them to stay...
It's better than $70.
It is. Although it's been done before. We're expecting them to stay subscribed for 9 months on average.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's your target age group in terms of the children you're looking at? What's your sweet spot? And sorry.
Well, 7 to 13 is the broad demo, but we've aged the product up because it's easier to bring the kids up than it is to bring kids down, obviously, with content.
And is there a multiplayer limit? Because
we can have 1,000 players simultaneously in one game instance, which is basically one server, and then we can just duplicate that as many times as we need to. We're currently built for 100 million players simultaneously.
Super quick question. How do you screen who jumps into the game?
Well, we can't, and there is no way because you could be a dog on the internet, right? It's the classic trope. But what we do is put in filtering. So we run, many games run black filters, which means that we don't want you to say the word dog. We put that into the filter and you can't type dog. But if you put a 0 instead of an O, you can type dog. So what we do is we have a black filter and then we have a white filter, which is basically a dictionary of words that we let you say in game. And then on top of that, we run AI with phrase filtering. So it actually looks for the combination of words together that might cause a problem, and then it flags it automatically to the moderators. Thank you.
Now tell me, did that make your heart smile just as much as mine? Hi everyone, I'm Elaine Nasr, and this is the Geek Academy, just as those kiddos mentioned. I am also the founder, which I am the founder of. I am also a software engineer, and despite my education, I had to teach myself how to code. Now, 15 years on, this is still a problem within schools. Our teachers are struggling to educate our children STEM-based subjects. That's science, tech, engineering, and maths. In our primary schools, the teachers don't have the knowledge, and they have kits in the classrooms if they have the budget, but it's sitting there collecting dust because they just don't know how to use them. As for high schools, 1 in 8 classes are being taught by out-of-field teachers. So this means we've got PE teachers trying to deliver robotics classes, and it makes absolutely no sense to me. Now, the government has picked up on this issue, as well as the growth of STEM-based jobs outgrowing the non-STEM-based jobs by a 1.6 rate. And they're trying to fill in this gap by throwing funding, but it's just not making up a big enough dent. And it's impacting 3.9 million Australian students across 9,500 schools. So something really has to be done here. And at the Geek Academy, we're passionate about creating tomorrow's innovators today. And we want to do this by empowering educators with STEM skills and knowledge so that we can unleash our children's full potential. So how did we go about doing this? Well, on our way to tackling that bigger picture in the schools, we thought we'd set up 2 in-person Lego robotic and coding camps. But in actual fact, we ended up selling out 5 with a total of 58 children. And we did this with a 60% profit margin from the get-go, as well as starting to sell out some of our weekly courses. We did this organically by utilising the parent WhatsApp channels, as well as posting on Instagram and Facebook. And we're currently in the middle of approaching schools direct so that we can use their parent-teacher channels, as well as creating paid campaigns through social media and Google, and we'll also be engaging with influencers. As for our competitors, there's a couple of things that they're missing. With their educators, some of them do not have that formal education or experience. They also have a very large teacher-student class size ratio. Some of them are averaging 1 teacher to every 10 students, whereas we cap it at 6 students for every teacher. Their content is also not of a high syllabus standard, and it's not very engaging. But above all, they are not there to scale with an impact at a national school level. So what are we offering? Well, we have a multi-revenue stream business that scales with that impact. As you saw in our intro video, we have our holiday camp set up where children between the ages of 4 and 18 years of age come for a full day of fun to learn STEM, and that's for $195 a day. We are currently in the middle of setting up our weekly courses and selling them, and this is where students come for an hour a week over a 10-week course that aligns with the school term, and that costs $350. So as we scale both the holiday camps and the courses and learn what we can use to create a solution for the bigger picture being the schools, we will embed that solution into a school program. As for our next steps, over the next 5 months, we want to fill up that first location with 80 students in the weekly course and 120 students in the holiday program. That will place us in a quarter revenue of just under $52,000. As for 3 years' time, we want to have 20 locations filled up, and that will equate to $3.3 million in revenue. Also, over the 18 months, we want to be able to grab those solutions that we put together through those 2 other programs and embed them in the school so that we can continue developing our future leaders. So who are we? We are geeks. Again, I'm Elaine, founder and geek coach at the Geek Academy. I have over 15 years experience in the industry, unlike some of our competitors, specifically in advanced manufacturing and legal technology. And my life's mission is to empower young minds through play. We also have Lauren. She's a primary school teacher, and she's very passionate about unleashing the full learning potential of students. She's also certified in gifted education and design thinking, and together we believe we are a dynamic duo that can deliver the purpose of all of this. And other than wanting to have more kids on board, we are looking for a co-hustler to approach schools, as well as prize money so that we can purchase more STEM kits so that we can grow our Geek squad of kids. So please jump on board and help us create tomorrow's innovators today. Questions?
Firstly, thank you. I think getting into schools is a fantastic idea. Have you sort of explored what are the hurdles of potentially getting into schools rather than sort of running before or holiday care? Are there any?
So with schools, there's the two avenues. There's going in there as incursions, where you go in and just teach the kids direct. That's quite simple. It's not too difficult because it's actually the teachers who book in those incursions. So yeah, no issue there. But the bigger picture where we want to actually educate the teachers, that's yet to be explored. But we have spoken to quite a few teachers and a lot of them are already waiting for us to book in those incursions. So yeah, exciting times ahead. Yes?
Just to understand your product offering and how you're differentiating it, are you offering a different way of learning STEM, or are you changing, adding to the syllabus or enhancing the content? So is it method or content?
Both. So the whole design thinking process is implemented with how we deliver the STEM education, which we find engages children a lot more than other STEM, other competitors that are out there. Some are doing that as well, but we are, again, in saying all of this, we are utilising those two areas so that we can also tackle that bigger picture. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Anything?
How do you go about managing behavioural challenges with children who may, impact the experience of others?
Yeah, absolutely. So we had, in those classes that we ran in the January holidays, the parents actually didn't give us a heads up on some behavioural issues that the children had, but that's why we've got the whole expert in STEM plus teacher model. So that way the teacher, we had Lauren there, she was able to quickly tackle that on. So she's, with her her full-time job at school, she handles these kids on a daily basis and she's great at it. So that's the whole dynamic duo that we want to continue with. Thank you.
G'day, my name's Ben Kennedy and I'm the founder and CEO of Gecko. Gecko is a marketplace to help people hire event items easily and securely. Now before we start, I want to introduce you to my friend Josh, who is Gecko's first ever customer. Josh was having a 21st birthday party and needed to hire speakers, lights and a microphone. However, unfortunately, he came up with a few snags on his way there. There was no security on classified advertising platforms such as Facebook Marketplace and Gumtree. Brick and mortar stores are only in one location, which makes it super difficult since he lives so far away from most of them. They don't have everything you need in one place. You have microphones over here, speakers over there, which makes it incredibly difficult. And finally, it's super difficult to book out. He was calling people at 4 p.m. on a Friday and no one was answering. So he reached out to us. And we reached out to Louis. Louis is a reputable DJ who I've known for years. And not only that, but he lives just down the road from where Josh does. The two linked up, and Josh ended up having the best night of his life. Now, why was this better? Because it was secure. He had all the items in one place and close for pickup. He was able to make a secure online payment quickly, all whilst being cheaper. But how does this work? Josh goes on to gecko.rent and looks for the items that he needs. He chooses the items and pays a bond and books it out. Louis is notified of the booking and they both get each other's contact details. Josh picks up the items, has a great time and returns them back to Louis. And once Louis says that it's given back in the same condition that it was given to Josh, the bond is then refunded. The community-to-community lending economy will be worth $92 billion globally by 2025. The P2P event lending economy in Australia is going to be worth $676 million, and we want to take all of it. And as a result, that's 30% of our margins. To quote Murray Hurps, sounds ambitious because it is. We have overseas validation through Fat Llama, which is a Y Combinator alumni, and have raised $13 million. We have Grover over in Germany that's raised $362 million. And we have Peerby in the Netherlands, which has raised $4.7 million. And the key differences here is that both Peerby and Fat Llama are very broad, and they don't have a strong vertical, which hurts them in their go-to-market strategies. Then Grover is more long-term oriented, and it's mainly limited to electronics by itself. We take 20% from the lender, 5% from businesses, and then 10% from the borrower. We also have delivery fees, as we found that our customers are prepared to pay a premium for the added element of convenience. We focus on customer success to generate referrals. We make sure that every single listing on the platform has the best chance of getting hired out. We directly target users of other successful marketplaces with high liquidity and then send them back to Gecko. And for every $1 that we put into this, we get $10 back. We have exclusive partnerships with suppliers to enhance our distribution. One client with 600 sales will generate us $10,000 in revenue alone, and we already have 6 of these. We also have search engine optimization, which has been used by the likes of Airtasker, Airbnb, and MadPause, so it's proven to work. We have $400,000 in partnership GMV, and that's without us having to do anything. We have 2,500 listings on the platform and 287 sales that we're making daily. And that's not even the most exciting part. We're going 10% week on week, which is 5% more than what Y Combinator asked from their startups in their world-famous accelerator program. The team consists of myself, a UTS Hustler of the Year award winner, so you know I work hard. We have Alan Ung, who has a successful exit under his belt after they sold out to GearBest, which is an Alibaba competitor. And we have Lau Birch, who founded his own creative agency. We also have some awesome advisors and investors. We have Chris Zart, who is the ex-head of product at Uber. We have Karim Muabi, who's able to give us step-by-step guidance on our go-to-market strategy. And Jack Ianhorn, who has created a $1 billion Australian dollar company over in the States. Since our launch in September 2019, we've almost made 300 hires, and we will do that by the end of the month. Following this, we're looking to IPO when we make 100 million hires across the globe by 2031. So, get around us. We're raising $800,000, but we're not looking for just anyone. We're looking for experienced angel investors and VCs that know what to do when it comes to marketplaces. So if this is you or someone you know, please feel free to get in touch.
I might go first. It sounds fantastic. I've got a party tomorrow night, and I've just gone through that whole hassle. And you set up a scenario where you said you need things from different suppliers, lighting, music, whatever. And then you said you knew a reputable guy who you trusted, who was close to the source. So you didn't rely on the technology, relied on your personal intel. How do you create that digitally where it's not from one supplier necessarily, because the lights are separate from the microphone, so I've got various suppliers, and also make the decision, because when I went online and did my own research individually, I had to I would have loved a star rating, and I would have, but I also need to find out where they are and what they have. Like, how does your marketplace accommodate for all of those parts of the decision-making process?
Yeah, awesome. So number one, we do have a two-way rating system, first of all. And second of all, because we're partnering with these businesses first up, we know as a result of, them having multiple sort of customers in the past, that these are the people that we can trust. And that's how we're going to facilitate trust within the platform, is by piggybacking off these exclusive partnerships. And that's, I guess, how we're going to grow and scale. So
To answer your question, yeah, it's going to be a very similar model to your Airbnbs and your Airtaskers through the two-way rating system, and that's how we're going to establish trust.
So if I need things from different suppliers, I'll just create a contract with each of them separately. So my lights will come separately from my music thing.
You can do that, but the whole idea is that you do just get it from one source, yeah, to make it just easier for the customer.
Best of luck.
Awesome, thank you.
Just in terms of your partners, who are some examples of them?
Yeah, cool.
And why would they be willing to put at risk the sort of hard work that they've done in terms of building up their brand, in terms of doing business with a startup?
Yeah, fair enough. So number one, we have Fancy That and Snog the Frog, which are the two industry leaders for costume hire in Sydney. We also have Buzz Speaker Hire, Vibes, WalkSmart, and AV Hire as well. So I guess the main reason is because their current solutions aren't good enough. They don't have security within their platform, and their websites, to be quite honest with you, are a bit shonky because they're built off Shopify or WooCommerce, but they're not made for a rental business. They're made for a buy-sell business. So that's the main problem that we're solving with these businesses, is that they don't have a solution to this problem. We're able to just white label a solution through the marketplace.
So before we start today, I'd just like you all to cast yourselves back to puberty, pimples, stress of upcoming assessments, exams around the corner, and school uniforms. Don't you love high school? So to dive a bit deeper into the pressures and stresses of high school, let's look to Matthew. He's a year 10 student who's fallen behind in maths and English. He's struggling, and his mother tries the best she can, but as a single parent of 2 boys escaping a domestic violence situation, she's struggling. She wishes she could send the boys to tutoring, but she can't manage it financially. And Matthew just recently told his mum that he feels dumb. What does she do now? And Matthew's not alone, as 27% of young people in New South Wales did not complete Year 12 or equivalent studies. And studies have shown that socioeconomic status plays an unacceptably large role in determining a student's achievements and overall educational outcomes. And COVID has worsened this problem, with calls to the reading and writing hotline in New South Wales spiking 30% last year, a third of which being parents, desperate to figure out how to help their kids with their homework. The Kids Helpline has also seen a 14.3% increase in calls last year. That's 32,000 young people reaching out for support. So what can be done? That's why we exist. We support young people who struggle in school or life with free tutoring, one creative mind at a time. And we've been striving to fulfill this vision since 2016, as we believe all young people who need support should get it. We started with a pilot program with the Narembone Behavioural School and moved into a mixed medium approach of both online tutoring and face-to-face. But you may be wondering, what else is out there? And there are similar organisations that provide free tutoring for disadvantaged young people, like Foster the Future and Teach, Learn, Grow. But they only provide support for smaller segments of the overall cohort of disadvantaged young people, like rural and remote students or foster kids. The Smith family also provides a homework help initiative that they provide out of certain schools, but again, it's face-to-face, not online, and so not all students can access it. And through our program, we've seen some great results. Matthew ended up finding our tutor Amy, who, like his mother said, bolstered not only his results, but also his self-confidence, which is a massive milestone. We've supported 50 students experiencing some level of disadvantage, with 400 hours of support. And that's 250 tutoring sessions, a lot of which started on Zoom, which is pretty clunky, as everyone knows. So I've seen students grow. I've seen them graduate, go from failing to excelling, and seen some amazing creative talents flourish through a lot of our different programs that we offer. But as all of our students are different, the way they interact with us kind of follows the same theme. We're a referral-based organization, so we get our students from doctors, psychologists, counselors, and schools. And once a student becomes a member of Youth in Motion, they begin a trial session with any one of our tutors. And that's just so they can feel out if they gel with them, if they can work well together, and if not, totally cool, let's move on to the next one. We also have a tailored Youth in Motion youth worker to ensure that all kids feel safe and secure in an online capacity. Then, once they found that tutor that they click with, we move into weekly tutoring sessions for 1 to 2 hours a week, and our students stay with us for roughly 2 years. So as a completely volunteer-run, non-profit organization, we rely on donations and small grants to stay afloat. We only received around $700 last year, but we're on track this year to receive $2,500 in a small community grant to ensure that we move into the online tutoring space more effectively. But moving forward, we have our eyes set on expansion to the greater Sydney region and eventually all of New South Wales. And to get there, we'd love to partner with corporates who have an interest in education to meet their social corporate responsibility targets, and moving into a face-to-face paid option with youth services like Headspace or services like Chatswood Youth Centre. So, like I said, we're completely volunteer-run, with lack of funding, so we can only provide 15 hours of support each week for 10 students. But even though I'm terrible at math, I did the math correctly, and we can provide 180 hours of support every week for 120 students, which is a massive increase of support. And in order to get there, if I was to win a prize today, we would invest in creating more sustainable fundraising for our organization, like hiring a grant writer, a sales coach so that I can be like James and pitch my startup to more people. And if anyone has any connections to Headspace or similarly mental health organizations that we could partner with, that would be amazing. Or connections to the Telstra Foundation would be cool. Or other corporates that have a focus in education and supporting disadvantaged young people moving forward. So thank you so much, and I'm open to questions.
Could you just go through the slide that talks about the referral process?
Yeah.
And I was kind of wondering, as I was looking at it, when a young person seeks help, how often are they going to their GP or psychologist? I mean, is that kind of a bit of a bottleneck?
Well, they definitely would reach out to their parents or their mom, who would then take them to that next step. A lot of our referrals come from like Catholic care, where the parents are already receiving care, being in domestic violence situations or that kind of thing, and so they refer their students on because they know that those kids need further support. Yeah.
It looked like your solution is in some ways complementary with, say, the Smith family.
Yeah,
is there
definitely.
an opportunity to partner with them?
I mean, we would love that as an opportunity for sure.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, and I was thinking about partnerships as well. I mean, are there key aspects of potential partners that you think would be really interesting for you? There's an organisation which is providing mentors for children, which is advertising a lot on television at the moment, and its name just escapes me. But, you know, are there particular criteria that you'd be looking for?
We have certain ethics that we love to adhere to when receiving funding, but with partnerships, we follow that same ethics. If they're committed to serving disadvantaged young people, then we're totally happy to connect. We love Batir. We've connected with them and done webinars with them, and we love supporting young people with mental health as well. So we just held a webinar focusing on both HSC study skills and also mental health. So connecting with organizations in that sphere also we would love to do. It's just getting the ball rolling.
It's a competitive space getting volunteers as well. How are you going with that in terms of differentiation?
It's actually been amazing. I recently hired volunteers, around 7, and I did 17 interviews the week before. I had to close applications because I had like over 100 for a couple positions. It's a really amazing space, especially with COVID. Everyone wants to pitch in and help out, so it's great. Thank you.
Okay. Hi everyone, my name's Stephen and I'm a co-founder of Microgenesis. Microgenesis is a medical device startup developing technology to improve the reliability and efficiency of fertility treatments. According to the WHO, 1 in every 6 couples are infertile. 1 in every 6. Sorry, I lost myself. 1 in every 6 couples are infertile. And although the onus of infertility has historically fallen on women, I'm here to tell you that this is not the case. In fact, over 55% of the time, infertility involves a male factor. Yet the way we treat male infertility has undergone almost no technical innovation since the 1980s. IVF has helped millions of couples worldwide achieve a family, and an essential part in all IVF treatments is sperm selection. Yet current sperm selection technology is fundamentally flawed. Techniques such as density gradient centrifugation apply huge mechanical forces, over 900 Gs of force, that can damage the DNA of a sperm cell. What this means is lower quality sperm selection, which directly contributes to lower embryo quality, lower implantation rates, and a higher chance of miscarriage. In fact, studies have shown that poor quality sperm selection can more than double your chance of a miscarriage. What's more, conventional sperm selection suffers from low throughput, is prone to human error, and has extended labour costs for the clinics themselves. So basically, we need to start taking better care of our sperm. And that's where Microgenesis comes in. We're here to do just that, using our new and unique microfluidic technology to reframe the way we select sperm cells into a safe, reliable, and efficient device that we call the IV Micro F. So obviously I can't do a live sperm test here today, but our technology allows our device to outperform existing sperm selection methods in terms of time, ease of use, and quality. Our device allows clinics to select sperm within 1/6 of the time without compromising their IVF treatment. Our technology uses biologically inspired microchannels to mimic the environment inside the female reproductive tract to select sperm in a more natural way. Sperm from our device show improved vitality, motility, and DNA integrity, which are all essential components in creating a healthy embryo. So Microgenesis has already partnered with the world's leading IVF service providers across 3 different regions. So this puts us in a good place to distribute our device as a single-use sperm selection chip, either directly to clinics or through established distribution channels. Our technology is grounded in years of fundamental research and publications into sperm motion and selection. Our startup journey began with us winning the Texcelerator program, and since then, we filed our IP in Australia and China simultaneously. We've been busy since then. We've established 5 clinical studies which are ongoing across 3 different regions. The IVF consumables market is growing at a phenomenal rate as more and more couples access infertility treatment. Just last year, 2.5 million IVF treatments were provided to infertile couples. And since our device is appropriate for all except the most severe forms of infertility, that gives us an addressable market of well over 2 million treatments. This gives us a market projection of having a revenue of $35 million by 2027, once we get to market, as we acquire more and more clinics to use our device. So for our next round of funding, we'll put money towards our regulatory approval process, which we've already started as a Class 2A medical device. And it will also go towards funding our first trial manufacturing run, which we'll do in parallel. So we built a terrific team around us. Our technical founders are a collection of biomedical scientists with track records in previous medical device startups. Our business team has secured billions in investment deals in the past, and our advisors are experts in the fields of engineering and reproductive healthcare. So we need about $3 million to fund our plan for regulatory approval and trial manufacturing, which will get us to market. Then, if we win any money today, we'll put that money towards our regulatory approval plan. We're also looking for collaborators, anyone who knows about the medical device approval process or has experience in the IVF field. Even if you've been through IVF or you know someone who's been through IVF, we're looking for stories. We want to know how it was for you. So the IVF process, the IVF success rate has stagnated. It's not getting any better. In fact, IVF success rates are getting slightly worse. What this means is it puts couples under enormous financial and emotional strain. So, if you resonate with helping couples achieve a family, help Microgenesis bring IVF the innovation it desperately needs. Thank you.
My understanding of the IVF business model is one of cycles. Like that's the revenue generator,
cycles,
right? How do you help either improve their profitability or increase the number of cycles?
Right, that's a great question. So it's one-to-one with our sperm selections and cycles. So we're targeting the sperm selection part of one IVF cycle. So the IVF is broken up into multiple workflows. So our add value is in the male infertility treatment side of that, which runs in parallel to the female side. So not only are we providing a workflow benefit, a sixth of the time of their conventional process, which frees up their clinicians to do other essential processes, especially on the female side. It also gives them better quality sperm so they can provide a better quality treatment. They don't have to repeat processes, make more embryos. If they have higher quality embryos to start with, it gives their patients more options. They can freeze those embryos, they go through less implantations, it's less stress for the clinic.
Clinics being a key part, obviously, of your product. How much of a change is it for someone to fully adopt your new product in clinics? Is it just part of a value chain? Is it systems? What CapEx is required potentially to actually adopt this new way?
That's a great question. It's pretty minimal. So at the moment, clinics have they have centrifuges and they have big units and big spaces for doing their sperm selection. And we've reduced that down to a chip. It's about the size of the palm of your hand. So they don't have to pay for the maintenance of all this complicated equipment and all this time. So it's actually a reduction in their cost to operate and use this device because it's a 3-step process. You don't need any technical experience or required training. It's basically inject your sperm, wait for your sperm, collect your sperm, rather than an 11-step process where they have to pay attention for the full amount of time, and any misstep or mishandling in the manual process could ruin the whole sperm selection.
Just quickly, while you've got time, and two of the big issues in the device space are IP and regulatory.
Yep.
Can you just briefly tell us about how you're grappling with those?
So for IP, we've gone with Australia and China first. And once we go through PCT and national, we'll expand into Europe and America. China being the largest market. They do over 1 million cycles. So for context, Australia does 90,000 cycles or IVF treatments. China does 1 million. So we saw the urgency to get into that market quickly, and 2 of our clinical studies are in China at the moment with the largest service providers of IVF. They do 20 to 30,000 cycles themselves. So that's the IP plan. On the regulatory side, we started working with Brandwood, CKC. We did a phase 1 engagement with them. We paid them to give us a regulatory roadmap and do a class analysis for us. And basically now we've got the full plan. We know the steps that we need to take. We've already started talking to manufacturers. We just need the funding to go through with it. Thank you.
Very well done. That was, ladies and gentlemen, the 10th pitch this afternoon. So, my gosh, is that worth another round of applause maybe? Just a really big one. Absolutely stoked by the quality of these pitches. So thank you guys, thank you so much. So what's going to happen now? We're going to take those judges into our room. When the white smoke comes out, then you will know that we have determined the winners. And so until then, guys, I'll have a little panel discussion for you, also for you guys online. So Julian Marchand was going to lead that. I'll just hand it over to him in just a minute. Judges, please fill out your latest scoring sheets, hand them over there. That's great. And for you in the room, please stay in the room, enjoy the panel discussion. I think we have a bit of a sports review kind of commentary on the pitches that we've seen. So I'm really looking forward to watch that video later because I want to see it. So, guys, thanks again for being here. We'll be back in here in probably 20 to 25 minutes to start the award ceremony and announce the winners for the night. Okay, thanks very much. So I'm with Murray Hurps here. Murray is Director of Entrepreneurship and he leads UTS startups here at UTS. And we should have, here we go. And now we have Pete on the screen, on the big screen. Can you guys put Pete on the big screen, if we can hear him? And then the logical sentence on Zoom is, can you unmute yourself, Pete?
Sorry, can you repeat that? I have unmuted if that's your question.
Okay, we can hear you a little bit. Aaron, if you can increase the volume. Cool. So let's
get a sound check on that. Where are you joining us from, Pete?
I'm in my horse shed, as you can see.
From a shed in a hidden location in Canberra. Thank you very much for joining us. Don't look too closely, don't disclose.
Yeah, and keep your nose closed. Fortunately, we don't have smell-o-vision.
All right, so let's get started. Before we get into the details of the pitches that we've just been, so to Pete and to yourself, what's the goal that the pitchers need to achieve when they they have 5 minutes to present what they've been through? What's the goal here?
Okay, well, firstly, can I pass that to the audience? This for audience participation in the chat. If you comment in the chat, we'll read out as well. So let's make this interactive. What did you get from these presentations? What did you get? Dave, I'll throw to you if no one jumps in. What did you get?
I see a bright future, mate. I think there's so many really good ideas and people who are willing to take them through.
Okay, bright future, people willing to take them through, a bit of optimism, a bit of excitement, a bit of, okay, these people kind of know what they're talking about. I would like to support those people. I would like to work for those people. I would like to invest in those people. Those people are going to be rich. I want to be a little bit rich with those people. Like, yeah, did we get a bit of that?
Yeah, I would work for Dave Chambers or Ben Kennedy, for sure.
Oh, yeah. And the rest. Yeah. That's couldn't agree more. We've got some chats coming through, but Pete, thank you.
Excitement, emotion, energy. Yeah, that's what they're looking for. What do you think, Pete?
Mate, I think when you do pitching competitions, I don't think you should aim to win. In general, it depends where you're pitching, but generally what I tell people is look at who's out there in the audience and try to visualize a person that you want to impress, because everyone has their own judging criteria. Honestly, anyone who studies startups knows just how difficult it is to predict. So rather than try to please everybody, stick to a particular person that you really want to impress with what you've got to offer, and pitch to them. And I've seen multiple pitching competitions where people have gone nowhere in the pitching competition, and then some rich person in the audience or some person hiding in the back comes up and says, "I really love your idea. I don't think the judges understood this. We want to invest." You see, so it's not, businesses are not necessarily popularity competitions, and I think it pays to stick to what you know and try to impress the people that are most likely to be receptive to your message.
I think you have been that rich person in the audience in a few of those contests. This sounds familiar.
Out there right now.
You're making a list?
Hands up. This game.
All right, should we review some of the pitches that we've been looking at? One of the first one was gatorCRM, the missing link for LinkedIn, and the audience. I looked at some of the stats here. I was asking them to vote out of 5, and the majority, 65%, voted 3, which is it's got potential. Any of you have a take on that market and that potential for that startup?
It sounds fantastic. So firstly, let me start by saying I have such a bad track record of picking companies that will go well. So everything I say is rubbish, and I'm becoming more confident in that the more I do this kind of thing, because people change what they do. And someone can come in and not know a particular market or not know how they're going to execute on something, or to run into someone who changes what they do. So many things can change, especially about people that are early in their journey. But having said that, it looks amazing, as long as LinkedIn doesn't decide they want to stop it. But I mean, how long is LinkedIn going to be around? There are so many other potential disruptors. Everyone thinks, oh no, MySpace is going to be here forever. Who knows?
Yeah, definitely. If they do something, is LinkedIn decide to do something because they can just cut the API. But I think the topic here as well is, well, now sales outreach is on social media. So how can B2B people manage this? Now today's on LinkedIn. Maybe tomorrow it'll be on TikTok. So maybe that's the concept. What about you, Pete?
Yeah, I think defensibility might be an issue. But you know, the startup was talking about how they might bridge other platforms. So then it becomes a question of how much money do you want to raise, how big your ambition is going to be. It's definitely got potential. You know, it's like what Elon Musk said about PayPal. You're fighting a war on on the enemy's territory, as it were, and you're sort of at their mercy. But things have happened before where that's worked. There may be strategic reasons why LinkedIn, like for example, I think LinkedIn has a CRM partnership program, for example. Rather than have its own CRM, it considers itself more as a platform for other startups. So maybe that's a defensive. You know, these questions you can't really answer, but I would probably, if I was going to pitch this, I would go really big and say, we're going to make our way off the LinkedIn platform, and we're going to do Facebook, and then we're going to sort of have this synergy of all this community and so on that is going to make us immune to any kind of attack from LinkedIn or anybody that's a partner of LinkedIn, the CRM space.
Also, I think the trend is in your favor, like the control of people's data being a browser plugin or something like that. I think in future, the objection sites have to how people use the data that is kind of their data or that they have access to have to be treated by those companies more carefully. So anyway, again, I know nothing, but it's something I would use right now. So it sounds amazing.
Oh man, right now. I do my outreach on LinkedIn and I'm just tired of managing the little windows, the little DMs window. It just drives me nuts. All right, let's move to Zart Global. So that one is interesting. It's really targeting a niche market, like it's jewelry for bigger sizes, basically. And it had traction. It's been running on for almost a year. So it's good to see traction because sometimes you can put a question mark on something and then the market speaks. But what advice would you give Loucineh, who's here in the audience?
Sounds amazing, absolutely amazing. I did a swimwear company for a while that was with my sister, and it was customized swimwear for sizes that aren't catered to normally. And it's such an incredibly large market, like the number of people out there looking for this kind of thing and not catered to in 2021 still continues to surprise me. So it sounds amazing. Logistics of managing that kind of supply was the problem for swimwear and may be the problem for yourself as well, depending on the breadth of sizes that you offer, but it sounds fantastic. Everything sounds fantastic. I'm going to say this a lot, but I mean...
The audience, the online audience, a big spread. It's 50% said it's got potential, and then 7% say, take my money now. And then 30% said, oh, it's going to be a long haul. So...
Sorry.
Yep, Pete?
Sorry. I'd say this is the thing. If you judge things by... Like if I was to pick who I wanted to make the most short-term money on today, I'd probably pick this company because, I think she's right that she could grow this from 10 grand a month to 100 grand a month pretty quickly. So if I could persuade her to that she needed my capital and I could get a decent share of that, I could make a very quick dollar. Now, but when we come to a pitching competition, we normally have criteria that are far bigger than that short-term return. We want to see what are we creating about brand, about awareness of people who have sizing, who have difficulty with sizing. What can we do to cater for them? Can we release a whole range of different products? Can we have a range of pens or where is the direction for absolute scale? And that's what we usually require in pitching competitions. But this is a take my money and give me a nice share and get me out of there in a year or two's time, and I'll be very happy kind of deal, I think.
There you go, Loucineh.
Also, Exhibit A, because something that can make money and is a nice thing for the world. Like, people complain about entrepreneurs, and it's like, no, this make the kind of entrepreneur and the kind of company that you want to see in the world, and you can make the world a better place. It's nice.
I love it. I'm always in love with companies that are making money from the get-go. Like it shows you quick wins. Like so important for the founder to see this is working. Like somebody paid money for it, receive it, and then Loucineh told us about having return customers. So that's a double validation because for other founders, I'm thinking the last feature that we had, Microgenesis, which is in biotech, which it takes a long time to get traction. At least when you get some sales, like you've got that quick win that keeps you going, basically. The next one was Ergosphere, and the challenge here is, when it's B2C, then we can relate to the problem and the solution. But when it gets to B2B, that's a bit tougher, right? So this one was about. What was it about? Did you get it? It's from UTS Startup, isn't it?
Yeah, Pete, I'm going to throw to you because I know you've been doing an analysis of Fishburner's startups and the kind of startups that tend to do well, and I think the characterization of this might be something that's relevant to that.
Okay, I don't want to do David the entrepreneur injustice, but he's talking about I think the layout of manufacturing plants using machine learning. Now I think with each of these startups, if I chose a criteria and said which company did this, and I think I could create a winner from every single one. So, for example, which company might have the greatest impact in New South Wales economy? This particular one, if it got off the ground, if it had the capital that Dave is looking for, then I think it can have a serious impact, not only in its first incarnation as helping manufacturing businesses improve their productivity, but that deep understanding of deep learning, the deep factory experience, the local experience with the local process control and so on, I think could expand into something bigger. But then a judge has to make an estimate about the startup of the entrepreneur, the capital required, and so on. You see, and how believable is. I think Dave is for himself. I think he's definitely in the right direction. I think he's going to make himself very valuable into the future. I'd need to dig deeper to work out the potential of this one.
And I was kind of getting to the point of there are so many companies in the Fishburners data that were doing B2B stuff based on some industry expertise, and they start out consulting, do a couple of consulting gigs, and then productize something and then make it better and better. And it seems to work quite well around here. And in the kind of stuff that you're doing, it needs fixing here. It seems so incredible. and people should be throwing money at this, as with everyone here, but for manufacturing in Australia to make sure this actually works well.
And for the online audience, don't forget to ask questions on in the chat, because we can see your questions. And if Aaron and Nate, you could put up the chat room on the screen so Maria and I can see it, that will help us. Cool. All right, moving on to snack. So this one, it was voted, so 80% of the audience voted above 3. So it's got potential, 30%. This is a real deal, 30%. Take my money, 20%. It goes back to, this is something that people can understand very, very quickly, right? It's about helping teachers to deliver the message to students, and especially online with us parents having to do the teaching ourselves at home. But what was interesting in that story is it's been a pivot of previous idea, and it was developed in less than 3 weeks, really. And to see it come to that level of development, having that level of traction, having 108 teachers sign up already, it tells you a lot about how entrepreneurship is about iteration. You go and try one idea, and then you try another, and then you start to get better at how to get things done, how to get traction. What's your thought on this?
I know so many teachers that need this, and I'm sure a lot of people here do as well. It's one of those things you think, why doesn't this exist already? This is kind of weird, which can be a good sign, usually is a good sign, so thank you for doing it. But I'd be curious to know what you went through before you got to that.
Do you want to share?
Yeah, it was a platform where people could ask influencers questions, but pay to ask it. So similar to Cameo, but you're basically paying to access.
So for the online audience, he was trying to help influencers on social media, so content creators still to monetize their interaction, so pay to ask a question to an influencer. So still linked to online creator somewhere.
See, this is why I have no confidence in myself in judging startups, because you walk in, say, I'm doing this, it's about influencers, and then you go, oh, okay, whatever, and then something happens, and then it turns into this, and this is incredible. So
I agree. I saw Gecko's pitch a year ago, and then I saw this one. It was so different.
Yeah. Not that the last idea was not good, but I'm just saying no one can tell what something ends up being.
Pete?
So yeah, I agree with you, Julian, about what you said. That winning pitching competitions, you've got to have this big, ugly, sort of amazing picture. Whereas what's best for you as a startup might be taking something like this, iterating with a few schools, and learning where the opportunities are in this space. I mean, to make this really big, you're probably going to need a lot of capital, right? Why? Because, let's say it is a great idea and it sounds like this could be a new style of learning. There are going to be big players out there who say, wow, they're getting traction. Let's throw a lot of money on this. So I sort of think, I think you're right, Julian, that it pays not just to think about winning. It pays to think about how to maximize your learning as you're constructing your business model.
Love this. All right, so now we fall into the world of video games. And we just talked about a startup who, pivoted, and we saw the result of 3 weeks of intense work. And then, we jumped to a startup who's raised already $1 million first seed. So how do judges, how do investors compare those two types of pitches? Because it's two different levels of maturity, really.
It's a lot easier. Someone else has already given it some scrutiny and likes it, and it looks amazing based on what you've been able to do with that money so far. And the credibility of the team and the importance of the problem, it sounds amazing. But yeah, I think people can sit back a little bit and rely on other people's filtering and diligence in their decisions, I think. Pete?
Yeah, I think you're right, Murray. To answer Julian's question, it's a little bit unfair that, in a sense that, look, often a judge is looking for signs of traction or evidence of future traction. So when someone's got that kind of validation, like you said, Murray, like it gives you a sort of an advantage. The only negative thing would be like, well, yeah, exactly how you said, what have you done with that money so far? Are you using it in the right direction? How are you intending to spend it? Maybe someone who doesn't have that money is doing something more smarter. That's the sort of things I would ask in a due diligence session rather than in a pitching competition. But yeah, I think you're right. It makes it a lot easier.
So he's only had it a month. Do you need more? Okay.
Well, you're asking for 2 million the next round, aren't you? 2.5. Sorry. And something in practice, I asked Rob, what keeps you up at night? I thought he was going to say, well, I've got a team of 25 people that that I'm hiring, right? And he tells me, I just hope the kids like it. And that's always a challenge. He's applying a recipe that works. He's applying a go-to-market strategy that works, revenue stream that works. That's been demonstrated by all the big players. But it's this game of entertainment. You don't know if the kids are going to get onto it.
How do you feel about being responsible in some way for the safety of billions of children? Yeah. Yeah.
So for the online audience, Rob said he's been doing this for 15 years.
Okay, good answer.
What about that, Julian? That gentleman with the game struck me as someone that had deep knowledge of the customer. So to be honest, I don't know much about kids' games. A judge is often faced with a pitch that he has no idea about. So I look to someone that has a sense that they know their audience in a real market-based way. And I did sense that gentleman did have some deep knowledge. So I'd give him, high point for that, even not knowing the potential of this particular idea. It's really important to have that access and knowledge to your customers.
Yeah, and during all the 2 or 3 weeks of practice, that's what we saw. We saw like a real knowledge of the customer. And what was hard for Rob is he's been doing a lot of 20 minutes pitches because he was raising funding, and for him to reduce down to 5 minutes, he was pulling his hair out. And when I told him that usually it's 3 minutes, that was tough. But good job in the end.
Sorry to interrupt. That's a really good point. When you reduce it down to such a small amount of content, it becomes so hard to differentiate between pitches. Because let's say you had a 5-second pitch. Anyone probably can make that sound good. And so it becomes quite a task for the judges that are judging at the moment to differentiate between 5-minute, 8-minute pitches. It's not a lot of time to be extremely convincing or not in what you're doing. Like I think a lot of people can end up being convincing in a couple of minutes.
Good point. All right, and for the online audience, we're waiting for your question. You can ask question to Pete, to Murray, or to even some of the pitchers that are still in the room. So please go for it. We move to the Geek Academy. The Geek Academy has scored the highest score for the online audience. 42% voted number 5. This is showing traction only in the past 2 months, right? But showing real traction. I mean, like showing the video of the kids having fun, and you can see the value right there, right? What future do you see for this startup, and what's your advice?
It's amazing, as with everything else, but especially this. I've got kids. I worry about what they're going to be exposed to. I love the education system in New South Wales in particular. It's fantastic, but it's not going to keep up with the kind of things that you can keep up with. It's not going to do the incursions and the exposure of things that people don't necessarily sign up to in a way that you will do. So it's needed. It's a critical part of the ecosystem, and it actually sounds like you are the people to make it happen well. So this tick, 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 tick. The online audience is really quite harsh in the scores that they've given through the night, but I'm glad to see them giving a good score there.
What I like here, before you jump in, Pete, is it's a year of COVID. It's a year of social distancing. It's a year where we have only like 40 people in a room instead of 200, and here we have a startup that decided to do physical events, and that is thriving. So it goes to show that there is opportunity in all markets. So good on you.
Can you do entrepreneurship?
Ah. They're for kids.
Okay. So, yeah, you need to do a bait and switch, I think, for entrepreneurship, which I need to stop saying. But I think entrepreneurship is one of the rare things where people are not exposed to it as a desirable career choice. It is not a high ATAR requirement. It is not a not overtly put towards people. There's business studies and there's design and tech, but there's not, hey, you can actually employ yourself and do it soon and that kind of thing. So I think there's solutions needed there as well. But, sorry, that's what I do.
Pete?
Guys, I'm going to look over my shoulder onto your notes because, you were both parents and I think I was writing something to Murray at that point, so I don't really have much to add. Yeah, and then this is kind of one of the things where judges, when they don't have direct experience, they've got to look at other cues. So, as to how to judge your pitching competition. Frankly, I'm not the right judge to be judging your idea at this point, to be honest. So that just goes to say that maybe when you're pitching, thinking, well, look, forget about Pete and forget about the fact that whatever he's done, he's not the right audience for me. I need to pitch this to the right people and not try to, make too many people happy that don't really understand.
I'm going to push harder on that because I think that's a really important point. What could they have done in that pitch that for a Pete audience would make this more understandable, more convincing? What kind of proof would they need?
For people
who
are not parents.
Me?
For people that are not parents, yeah, Pete.
I'm going to go for really lame things like traction. I'm going to look at, to be honest, I'll often, in cases like this, I'll be honest with you, I love this format because I can be completely honest. Sometimes I'll be sitting there going, I have no idea. I'll be looking across to see how enthusiastic my other judges are, right? But, traction, I'll get it. Look, honestly, part of judging and part of investment is trying to read the person and see how much they know. It's a little bit of a con game in a sense, but the investors are supposed to be good at reading people. So I'd be just trying to read the person and how believable they are. But most of all, I'd be looking over my shoulder at your notes.
Have you been conned by a pitch before, Pete? And can you share some examples of what has happened?
Well, Teal came up with a story that was, I wouldn't say I was conned, but my business partner was conned because he didn't have a clue, about the size of opportunity. But it's just so easy to. But then, man, it's so complicated because then he conned the right people, he got enough money, and then he changed the business model. So this is why it's so unpredictable. But oftentimes there have been times where someone's come across as very believable. I have had no clue they're doing, a robotic arm for removing cysts, and I'm like, what, and I've had to wing it. I said, has this got TGA approval? You've got to. This is the thing. That's why you don't know who your judges necessarily are, how much knowledge they have. You really should be, pitching to those people who have the most knowledge. And in this case, I'm definitely not one of them.
Yeah, but then you end up with Theranos and like things like that where you can just have nothing but be very convincing and maybe fake it for long enough to make it into a thing.
Mate, that is a really important point, Murray, that people should know. And great pitchers know this well. Investors can be like sheep. So if there's an influential investor in the group and he or she is looking all excited, that can be a great way to get, you could pick sometimes I've seen this in China. Sometimes they'll plant people in the audience to ask really intelligent questions and look like they're an investor. And that can often have an influential effect on people's perceptions. Yeah, 100%. There is a sheep factor in investment. There's no question about that.
Audience, will you enroll your child at the Geek Academy? And I was thinking about it while Pete was answering the question, and I realized that I've already done it for my son, not for the Geek Academy, but for the equivalent for music, and I did that during the school holiday. And I was thinking, what about the Geek Academy? And my answer straight away was, well, it's not around where I live, so I can't. And that's the thing with physical things. Like, I just want to go and drop off my kids and do it there. But the concept of paying $200 to $300 and have my kid getting taken care of, but on the creativity side, that's what really attracted me to that musical. You got to create a band in one day, and so that's what I see here. Is like it's really appealing to creativity, and as we said, it's not offered at school right now. So I will do it. What about you?
Yeah, definitely. I've got a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, so it's a bit of a stretch, but yeah, go nuts.
Okay, so the next one is Gecko. So Gecko, I saw a pitch last year, and after the pitch, I went to put my tent on there, and now a year later, it has pivoted, and I like the focus on events and audio events. Can you tell us more? Because you've seen Ben at UTS Startup for a while, so you know what he's up to.
Ben. Again, exhibit A of someone that is able to manifest this opportunity really clearly, really compellingly. Every single slide is hitting a point that people need to understand, and you can be anyone and look at that and go, yeah, this makes sense. This is obviously going to happen. Why doesn't this exist? And you look like you're actually going to do it. And hey, it's actually going in that direction as well. So I don't have to believe you. I can look at the numbers. Wow. Sorry, that's not the most articulate thing I've ever said. But I'm hopefully conveying how impressed I am with how far you've come and how good it's looking, Ben.
There was one slide that got me thinking is when he looked at the competition, but looking at the competition as validation, like it's already been done in the UK, so why not in Australia? And that's what gave me the confidence here. So that's why it's always good to talk about competition and to as a demonstration that there's a market for it. Pete, input?
Yeah, the thing about Ben is, I'll be honest, Ben, I think, when I first saw Ben, I thought, mate, this guy's too big for his boots. I thought he was dreaming too big, and he just goes to show what he's picked up on. I think what comes through with Ben's pitch, a year or so on since those first time, is that he's really talked to a lot of people. He starts to talk the language of, he starts to press the investors' buttons. I know he's been talking to investors. I know he's been talking to partners. He starts to pick up on their language. He got me in a corner and drilled me and told me, give me your worst. And he starts to find out what the people want to hear. It's part of pitching as a con game. And I think, frankly, Ben does conning really well. Really well. I mean, honestly, you do have to convince people who have resources to join your team to help support you. And I think I still think there's a big hill to climb with Ben, but I think his enthusiasm, his ambition, and his learning curve is I think, as Julian pointed out earlier, he's really come a long way in learning the right buttons to press in his pitch.
Do you think someone could be so convincing in their pitch that you would invest just knowing that they're going to get other people to invest as well, and maybe they're not going to be able to figure it out, but they'll be able to hire the people that will? If they can convince me and everyone else in the room, then I have to invest because they're going to keep doing that for everyone else as well.
100%, Murray. See, this is part of the con game. But you've got to be in a sufficient pool of capital. So people around have to be serious about investing. But if someone's just so much of a con person that you think they're going to just not stop at anything, sometimes I'm sitting there thinking, I don't believe a word, but geez, you're convincing. And it's sort of exactly like you said, Murray, that if the person is hungry enough and believes enough and can convince enough people, sometimes they can make it happen. And I've definitely seen that before. And you could look at the Airbnb guys as an example. You could look at the PayPal guys as an example. They just kept believing and they just kept modifying until they hit the right notes.
Can I provide a counterexample of people that go in pitching contests serially, and people particularly that travel the world and say, I got first place in this one, first place in this one, first place in this one.
That's the attraction, right?
That's the thing. They become very good at matching the judging criteria.
That's right.
And so for everyone that's about to hear whether you're successful or not tonight, keep that in mind. Judging criteria is an important thing, and judging is an important thing, but you can design for a contest and not necessarily for making a successful company.
You can design for the contest, but not for the market. All right, for the online audience, we had all the judges joining us, and so now we are all excited to know who's going to get the prizes. So just want to thank you, Pete. Pete who joined us from the horse shed in Canberra. And of course, thank you, Murray, again for being here, for supporting the guys from UTS Startup and the guys from the MBA. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
And helpful. I certainly would have loved to ask a few questions, but we were beaten by all the wonderful questions that were asked online. It was a fantastic engagement. Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name's Prabhu Sivabalan. I'm the Associate Dean for External Engagement in the UTS Business School. And it gives me really great pleasure to be here to frankly be inspired by students that I thought the exciting subject, startup finance and accounting. Why are you guys laughing? To see you guys here, sort of, standing here, presenting your ideas in just beautiful, elegant ways that were far from a con job. And so, it makes me so proud, really, to see you all here. Now, it gives me great pleasure to welcome, really, our judges. Jochen, should we have seats out the front, or we might just have our judges come to the front? We're going to ask you a few questions just to get things going before we announce the awards. And a round of applause, absolutely, for our judges. So again, on a Friday afternoon, Friday evening, really, I'm sure our very august list of judges have wonderful things to do, and there is an opportunity cost to their time, so we are very grateful for your making the time to be here to help us make these really important decisions in the careers of our entrepreneurs, or the progress of our entrepreneurs. Just a few questions without giving too much away before the awards were announced. I might ask you all to perhaps spend a minute each, perhaps passing on the mic. That was a good move from their side. And this does get progressively harder as you go down, because the final person, no pressure, will have to say something new. But your general thoughts on the pitches today, and what you think that tells us about entrepreneurship as it's, if you like, progressed in UTS through these wonderful entrepreneurs.
Yeah, for sure. No, thank you all so much for your pitches today. I was so impressed by the quality of not only the way that you pitched them, but also the thought that you've put into your ideas. I think I also felt so much passion in the room. Like, you guys really believe in your ideas, which I think is really important. And I think you guys were having a conversation before about not being a con artist. I think that's a gist that we got when he came in. But you all came across actually really authentically, which I think will stand you in good stead as you go forward.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I think the standard was astoundingly high, which was really a nuisance for the judges. So I want to complain about that, I think. Credit to UTS as well, because I think clearly you all very much understand all of the aspects that you need to understand in order to progress, and you demonstrated that incredibly well. Anyone in the 16 could have made the top 10. On any other day, anybody in the top 10 could have won, I think. It was just an amazingly good performance, and thank you.
So just want to mirror everything that's already been said. I think in light of COVID-19 as well, I think that you've shown so much resilience, and the caliber of the presentations we saw is a testament to not only yourselves but also to UTS. I think, you know, it's an incredible course and you guys are very, very lucky to do it. But, you know, one thing that resounded throughout is just the quality and also just how genuine you really were. So, yeah, it was a pleasure. So thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Standard is incredible, and the amount of information and the way you conveyed it in 5 minutes for most of you was just really special. One of the things I really like is the ones that make you feel something. I think very few investors now, maybe some hardcore, are solely looking at the dollar, the bottom line. And a lot of you had real passion and something interest, and there were social aspects to what you were pitching, I think almost all of you. And that's something that makes a judge or an investor feel something and be a bit emotionally attached. And I thought that's something to really keep in mind.
I'll use this microphone. Thanks, John. Yeah, I'd just like to reiterate the comments that were made about the implications of COVID and just how well everybody's done from a personal presentation perspective. And I'd like to thank Jochen as well for organising a day that is just fantastic. You've prepared the students really well, and your team have prepared the students really well. The thing that sort of stood out for me today, on top of what others have said, is that there's actually been a really good mix of use of existing technology and technological innovation. So there's been plenty of talk in the media recently about the way in which Australia needs more technological innovation and the way in which that needs to be applied. And particularly when you look at things like game plan in terms of an enabler. So, you know, that really cut through for me today.
Look, being an entrepreneur is very, very tough. It's a tough gig, and the reality is you're going to pitch a lot, and you're going to have a closing rate of, you know, maybe 20-30% if you're lucky. So you're going to have to kind of live with the nose. It's funny how we, you know, sort of just looking at how, you know, people sort of collaborate on who they want to back, and I think it's was kind of mentioned before, you know, it's those who kind of get you emotionally attached with what they're doing, and you're essentially backing the person, because the ideas are sometimes, you know, may not be the first to market, but it's the person who you think is going to have the resilience to be able to pivot and actually just have the resilience to be able to put up with just being an entrepreneur. It's a very diverse group. This is my 4th year in, you know, being a judge. And I have to say that the caliber has, you know, this year is the best. You know, yeah, congratulations to all of you. And for those who don't get an award, keep going.
Without repeating everybody else, I think, you know, in innovation and entrepreneurship, ideas are one thing. I think it's fantastic that all of you have actually taken tangible action. And I think the first step's always the hardest. You've all gone out, and whether it's a product or you've openly worn your heart on your sleeves in terms of asking the question, would you buy this? I think that's the biggest step. So a big congrats to that. You guys have really, shown and been very sort of, vulnerable in terms of pitching those ideas. And I think the fantastic thing about UTS, I remember working back with you guys when I was at CBA, learning's one thing, putting into action and application, that's really where the marvels happen. So congrats.
And it is getting hard as you're getting down the queue, so think of something different. I think it was Einstein that said that if you really want to show that you know something, you have to simplify it. And what really blew me away is I learnt so much from every one of the pitches. They were very different in their nature, very different ideas, and you managed to, as it was said earlier, in a really short period of time, take us obviously months of consideration, consultation, a lot of thoughts gone into this, absolutely, and you managed to distill that down to a couple of minutes and get the message across with the passion and with the plans about where you're going forward from here. It was just incredible. And what I like about doing this is you just learn so much. You learn so much about people. You learn so much about how they manage this, their confidence, how they deal with stress, and the approach they take to taking these problems and turning them into solutions. So I agree with everyone. You all deserve a round of applause. Thank you.
Not a lot left for me to add, but what I would say is, echoing all the comments, you guys have done a very good job, and, don't think we don't appreciate all the work that's gone on behind the scenes. This is at the end of what is for you guys a very long and demanding course. You have been helped by UTS, of course, but, really well done to all of you for distilling all the information and having, the passion and the determination to get here. And the only thing I would say is, this is just the beginning. This is the beginning, and if you're really committed to your ideas, it can and will go further. And, always remember that there are people around you who can help, who would be really willing to help. So really cast your net very wide would be my advice. As an ex-analyst, I remember what always amazed me is how many people are willing to help. And it might not be money. Don't scare people away and say, I want money, I want money. You might just say, can I catch up for a coffee? Can I get your ideas? What do you know? What do you think? Ask people for advice. They love giving an advice. Well done. Thanks.
I'm sure you'll all agree that the quality of advice there itself, irrespective of whoever won or not, you will have benefited from this exercise. Our sincere thanks again to our wonderful group of judges. Can I ask you to take your seats, please, with the exception of UTS Adjunct Professor David Langford, who will be announcing the award winners.
Good.
Thank you. Cheers. Thank you, David. So, over to you.
Okay, thanks very much. The stage is set. As all of the judges have said, there was a wonderful range of presentations that were made today. And as part of a competition, there are obviously those who will be happy with outcomes and some who mightn't be happy with outcomes. But the great outcome here today is that you've all got a vote of confidence from us, and we as a team are here to support you over the long term and through your careers as well. UTS is an organisation which is focused on lifelong learning, so we hope that you'll maintain your long-term relationship with the university. So on that note, I'll get to the prizes. And the first prize which I'm going to announce is the Gilbert and Tobin Prize, which is to the value of $5,000 of in-kind IP services, and that's open to MBAE students. And the winner is Microgenesis.
Okay. Sure. You take hands. Sorry. We've got a photo together. Yeah, all three. Oh no, we'll take a photo and we'll get you to stand out there. Yeah. Sorry. Yep, we're happy with that. Oh, sorry. Perfect.
I'm sorry, it's just turned off and on again.
That's okay.
It's just like the IT girl. Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Great.
Thank you.
Well done. The second prize, which I'll be announcing, is the Alan Betts Memorial Prize, which is $1,500 in cash, and that's open to all participating students. And the winner is Gecko.
Well done, superstar. Thanks. Thank you.
Congratulations. And maybe they should stand next to you for a photograph, given that you're the real academic.
Perfect.
Thank you. The third prize today is the UTS Business School's Dean's Award for Technology Adoption. And the value of the award is $5,000 in cash, and it's open to all participating students. And the winner is Ergosphere.
Across here. Well done.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Cheers. We'll take a photo. Cheers.
Thank you.
Yes. Well done.
Brilliant. Thank you.
And now we move on to the UTS Business School Dean's Award for Social Justice. And that's in the value of $5,000 in cash. It's open to all participating students. And the winner is Youth in Motion. The UTS Business School Dean's Award for a Female Entrepreneur. And that again is $5,000 in cash, open to all participating students. And the winner is Zart Global. The AQual Technologies Prize is $5,000 in cash, awarded for an innovation-related venture. It's open to all MBAE students, and the winner is Snack.
Off and on.
It's technology related.
Thank you. Well done.
The Kazakos Prize in Entrepreneurship for a Social Venture, which is valued at $5,000 in cash and $5,000 of in-kind services, and it's open to all participating students. And the winner is Youth in Motion.
Wow. Well done. Superstar. Brilliant. Okay.
The eighth prize is the Kazakos Prize in Entrepreneurship for an early stage venture. And again, this is $5,000 in cash and $5,000 of in-kind services, and that's open to all participating students. And the winner is Snack.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Now I'm just making sure that I haven't missed anything. Down to the final prize, which is the CommBank and Telstra Best Venture Prize. And it's to the value of $10,000 in cash, and it's awarded to the best venture. It's open to all participating students. And the winner is VR Realms.
Super. Very, very well done.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Well done, everyone.
Beautiful. Over to you, Jochen. And before we pass on to Jochen, can I say that we were part of this large MS Teams group chat relating to the organisation of this event. And if I got $1 for every time I saw an alert on my laptop or phone from Jochen with a message, because he really, and so many others, Bezos would be looking over his shoulder. Jochen and team put so much effort in. None of this would be possible without the team. So thank you, Jochen, the whole team, Hannah, really everyone. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Prabhu. Thanks. Okay. Okay. Thanks, guys. Guys, you can be seated now. That's okay, unless you want to stand up for a bit longer. Thanks so much, and well done, well deserved, everyone. Look, this pretty much concludes our event. Just once more for everyone, thank you for being here today. Thanks for coming. Thanks for judging. Thanks for being audience. Thanks for being online. We had quite a few viewers online, so this went really well, I think. In the end of the day, in a COVID kind of world, we managed to have an event in the room and we have an event online. So let me just reiterate what was been said before. This is not possible without a lot of support, the support of our judges, the support of our donors, the support of the UTS startups community that chipped in and sort of said, oh, we're going to help out. And I'm incredibly lucky and happy that we can have these kinds of events for our students. And that's what we're here for. So thanks, everyone. There's a list of people who were involved today. There's many more behind the scenes, but let's go and have some networking, drinks and canapes down in Cafe 80. So thanks all, and see you down in the cafe.